Brothers and sisters, since I arrived in Belgium 15 years ago, I have visited at least 4 terminally ill, seriously ill young Filipinos who are dying of cancer in the palliative units of hospitals. Among them was our friend Jovelyn, whom many of you also visited in Ghent, and whose funeral was held in this church, I think that was 2 years ago. Yeah. And today I learned that somebody is also seriously sick in Iklo and fighting for her dear life. Marimel is holding fast now to her dear life in a palliative unit of a hospital in Iklo. Aware of the nearness and certainty of death, these cancer-stricken young Filipinas were afraid. They were afraid of leaving their loved ones behind, especially their young children. At that moment, I could do nothing else but remain by their side, listening to them, particularly to their faint voices. Looking back at those moments, I realized that when I simply stayed there and listened to their fears, anger, and sadness, something changed in them. Something subtle changed within them. Their suffering, of course, did not disappear, but they appeared to be lighter. They have become lighter since they felt less alone, less lonely, and also less fearful of the prospect of death. Listening in this sense became a form of love. And as you know, love made a rather unbearable things somehow bearable. In today's gospel reading, the Father instructs his disciples as well as he instructs us to listen to Jesus. We usually think that listening to Jesus means praying, reading scripture, meditating, or attending Mass. Yes, it includes all of these. But today I would dare say, we also listen to Jesus when we truly listen to one another. How should we listen to one another in the context that we are facing today? Let me answer that by way of the first reading. In the first reading, the elderly Abraham is told to leave his homeland. He leaves everything familiar and goes to a land he does not know. He becomes a migrant. He becomes a pilgrim, trusting only in God's promise. My dear brothers and sisters, I am pretty sure that Abraham's story resonates deeply within us Filipinos in the diaspora. For various reasons such as work, family, survival, and better opportunities, we left the Philippines. We arrived in Belgium full of hope, but also full of uncertainty. Because no matter how long you live here, no matter how well you speak Dutch or French, part of you, part of us, part of our hearts remains in the Philippines. And the irony is, when we return to the Philippines, when we return home, we discover something strange, namely that we no longer fully belong there. We no longer fully understand the culture, and people, those whom we meet there, cannot anymore understand us the way we feel, the way we think, the way we are. So we live in the in-between worlds. We live in this kind of world, the in-between, an in-between space, and that space can be very lonely. That is why forming a kind of a faith community, such as the one we have here in Zelzate, is a necessity. We need a kind of a Christian community because we are all strangers. We are all strangers who have settled in this land. When we gather for the Eucharist, when we share food, when we tell our stories, when we speak about homesickness, family problems, work, struggles, or illness, we are doing something sacred. And that sacred thing is listening. We are listening to each other. And when we listen deeply to each other's concerns, especially to those who are struggling and to those who are holding on to dear life, we are somehow putting into practice the Father's command, listen to my beloved Son. We must remember that the Lord is present in the wounded voices of our kababayans. The Lord speaks in the tears of a homesick mother, in the silence of the overworked construction worker, especially our construction workers here, and most of them are fathers, most of them have children back in the Philippines. Christ speaks in the anxiety of migrants, those of us who are not seen, not recognized, especially unrecognized by their families. The Lord speaks especially through our brothers and sisters who are at the brink of death. To listen to those in distress is to listen to Jesus. To listen to one another is to make the Lord's presence more tangible in our community. On the mountain of the Transfiguration, the disciples saw Jesus in glory. It was a beautiful moment. They wanted to remain there, but they had to go down the mountain. They had to go to ordinary life, back to their suffering humanity. For us, the Transfiguration Mountain is not only a mystical experience. Sometimes the mountain appears, it happens when, after sharing our burdens, we feel understood. We get the sense of the divine when someone says to us, I know what you feel, I know what you mean. When someone prays for us, when someone simply sits there to listen to our concerns, there is an experience of transfiguration. In those moments, we catch the glimpse of the divine. Therefore, let us strive to become more and more a listening community, because when we truly listen to one another's concerns, we are listening to the Lord Himself. Let us now all stand and let us profess our faith. I believe, Father Almighty, Creator of heaven and earth,